found it in the back of my attic one day. It was behind the big fishbowl, on top of a tray. It was a brown wooden box, shaped like a cube. How it got there, I still haven't a clue. But there was something about that old wooden box. It tugged at my mind, though I wished it would stop. It begged me to hold it and take off its lid, and despite my reluctance, I sure enough did. Well, I opened it up and I peeked inside of it. Don't look, I told myself, but I did, in spite of it. And what did I see but a tiny little man waving at me with his tiny little hands. Then streams of bright colors and soft whispered sounds flew out of the box and bounced all around. They swirled around my body and danced in my head, and I wanted to leave and go elsewhere instead. But then in a flash, before I even knew it, I was shrunk down to inches and sucked right into it. I was sucked into that cube. It pulled me inside. Then it set me down gently by the tiny man's side. The tiny man spoke. He was reading out loud, words from a contract I cared nothing about. When he got to the fine print, I said, yes, yes, I agree. Then I yelled at the tiny man, let me go free. At this, he paused, to consider it, I suppose. He said, granted and done. Now you've 2 more to go. And with that, I was back in my attic again, wondering who that tiny man was and what he had meant. Well, I thought and I thought till I did understand. I'd been granted 3 wishes by that tiny little man. I'm an idiot. I knew it was true. I'd wasted a wish, but what else could I do? Well, I thought up a new wish, and this one was perfect. So I picked up the box and repeatedly turned it. Tiny man, open the box. I've a new wish for you. Now unlock the lock. But the top wouldn't open, though I tried and I tried. He's got to be here, I thought, still hiding inside. So I came back the next day, then the day after that, then once a week, once a month, then I seldom went back. Well, a year flew by, and I was up in my attic. Something pulled at my mind, like metal to a magnet. I knew it was Tiny Man, so I opened the top, and yes, there he was, in the middle of the box. I saw all the colors, heard the sounds once more. I was shrunk and pulled into that box like before. A contract was read in the background again. I agreed to the words, though I'd missed what was said. The tiny man smiled and offered me some tea. He didn't look so tiny now, standing next to me. We made a little small talk, then he read out loud these words from a tablet he carried about. You've been granted 3 wishes. The first one was taken on some transient freedom and a slight relocation. As spelled out in your contract, 2 wishes remain. Now let's hear your second wish. I sure hope it's not lame. I want a long life, I said, 1,000 years or so. He said, granted and done. Now you've 1 wish to go. And with that, I was back in my attic again, wondering if I'd live a long life, like the tiny man said. I wouldn't know for years if that wish would come true, but I had 1 wish left. Now what should I do? Well, I dreamed up a new wish, but just as I'd feared, though I called for the tiny man, he never appeared. Well, a year flew by, and I was up in my attic. Something pulled at my mind like metal to a magnet. I knew it was Tiny Man, so I opened the top, and yes, there he was, in the middle of the box. It was deja vu all over for my 3rd time now, when I shrunk in that box, saw the colors, heard the sounds. I stood by the tiny man while he read all the rules. I tried hard to listen, but I dozed off like a fool. When I awoke, the tiny man was reading from a contract. I really hate this legal stuff, I thought. It's so abstract. He said, you've heard the rules in the fine print. Do you agree? I said, yes, I approve it all. Now please, sir, proceed. You've been granted 3 wishes. The first one was taken on some transient freedom and a slight relocation. Your second wish was long life, over 1,000 years. Now you've 999 left, or so it appears. As spelled out in your contract, 1 wish remains. Now let's hear that last wish. I sure hope it's not lame. For my final wish, I grinned and said so nonchalant, my 3rd wish is for as many wishes as I want. And with that, it seemed that all hell had broke loose. There were flashing lights, sirens, and some fireworks too. Your wish is denied, said Tiny Little Man, and make no mistake. Page 19, section 5, paragraph 8 clearly states, anyone who wishes for additional wishes will take over as Tiny Man. Now isn't that delicious? What? No wishes? I'm stuck in this box? Then the tiny man handed me the key to the lock. A word of advice, my new tiny friend. Should you leave prematurely, you'll be brought back again. Each time you return, you'll be missing an appendage. I lost a toe and 3 fingers. I wouldn't recommend it." And with that, the tiny man started to grow. He was leaving the box, but to where I don't know. Something pulled him and lifted him high overhead, and I'll never forget these words that he said. "It took me 2 long centuries before I could leave, but what a relief to finally pass on that key. The secret," he said as he was lifted away, "is to find you an idiot, like I found today. One who hates contracts and won't play by the rules. Someone like you, of course, a hopeless damn fool." And with that, he was gone. I was there all alone. I wondered how long before another fool came along. After wish number 2, I'd live 1,000 long years. The thought of being trapped that long stoked all my fears. So I used my new key to open the lock. Lid opened wide, and I climbed out of that box. I ran like the wind. I was making good time till I counted my fingers and saw there were 9. Still, I kept running, though I knew it was fate when I counted my fingers and saw there were 8. But still I kept running. I had not learned my lesson till I counted my fingers and saw there were 7. After that, I was lifted high off my feet and deposited back in that box, nice and neat. I missed the 3 fingers that I'd lost while running, so I decided to stay this time, in case a fool might be coming. Well, I waited 100 long years, but no fools ever came, just as I'd feared, so I decided to run again, and I remembered my first try. I remembered a desert, too, and that blazing hot sunshine. I remembered that sign I saw buried in the sand. "Your future's ahead," it read, though I didn't understand. And I remember running around in circles that day, my poor navigational skills on display. So I got smart. I brought food and water this time, and a compass to help me walk a straight line. Then I opened the top and I ran, fast as I could. When I ran past that sign, I was feeling really good. I felt even better when I saw the next sign. It said, "Stay the course, and you'll be fine." If I made it to the end, would I finally be free? Then I looked at my feet, and no toes did I see. When I looked at my hands, they were fingerless stubs, and I couldn't quit looking at these leftover nubs. Once again, I was lifted high off my feet and deposited back in that box, nice and neat. Well, this scared the living hell out of me. I needed a safer way to be free. So I waited again for a fool to drop by so I could give him that key and then say goodbye. Well, I waited in that box for 200 more years, but not one single fool ever came near. So I decided to run for my life yet again, and this time I vowed to make it to the end. So I gathered my stuff, plus a hat for the sun. I don't believe in miracles, but I really needed one. Then I opened the top to that tiny little box, and I ran like the devil. I would not be stopped. I ran past the first sign with nary a glance. When I blew by the second, I might have a chance. Then when I got to the third sign at last, it said, "The end is ahead. Now run really fast." So I did. I ran faster than I ever had before. I ran till I could run no more. Then poof, like magic, both my arms were taken. When I looked at the nubs, I was visibly shaken. I was put back in the box when my run was complete, but there's nothing left of me but my head, legs, and feet. So I planned my next run. There was no hesitation. I left right away. My last chance at salvation. I flew by the first sign, then the second and the third. I was fast as a bullet now, and light as a bird. When I got to the last sign, it said simply, "The end." So I ran right up to it. I'd be free once again. Then my legs just dissolved, and I started to totter. I flopped down on the sand like a fish out of water. I fell on my back and I couldn't turn over, but I could still move my head from one side to the other. So I looked as best as I could, to the left and then right. But what I saw made me scream. It was a horrible sight. Thousands of carcasses as far as I could see. Thousands of tiny men, and the next would be me. Torsos and skulls bleached white by the sun. Each one was left there at the end of a run, but not one toe did I see, not one single finger. There weren't any arm bones and no leg bones either. Now I'm waiting here patiently while my skin slowly blisters. Soon death will find me, though I wish it'd come quicker. All I can think of as I lay here dying is how that damn box has killed me, though the fault is all mine. The end. Thank you. This is Mia Lambert, and that was The Tiny Man in the Box. And if you made it to the end, congratulations and thank you. Bye.